welcome to the MET-160 Week 6 lecture. Let's take a look at what we're going to be going over this week. So we'll go to our course content and we'll scroll down to Week 6. This week we're going to learn a couple of new commands. Specifically, we're going to go over click and drag, trim and convert entities, how to mirror both sketches and features or solids, offset entities, and how to create fillets both in a part and in a sketch. Now, let's take a look at the part we'll be working on. Now, the first thing I like to do when I open a part is to stop and look for any features that I can use to my advantage in the modeling process. Things like this right here, I have line A. The part is symmetrical about line A. That means anything to the left of that line is exactly the same to the right of that line. That immediately tells me that I should be setting this up for a mirror. Additionally, I've got this smaller circle in the middle that is perfectly bisected by line A, which means I'm going to start my drawing for this on the right plane and extrude from midplane. After that, I've got this larger circular boss on the side that is 1 inch thick, and it's got this Y-shaped cut in the face. So what I'm going to do is create that round boss, create this cut, and then mirror that entire feature to the other side of the part to save me some time and effort. So why don't we get started and hop on over into CAD. Okay, now that we're in SolidWorks, let's go ahead and create a new part. So we'll go up to the New button. We're going to go to Advanced, make sure we're in our STCC English templates, and grab an inch part. Now, I want to start this part from my right plane. So I'm going to go to Sketch, create a new sketch, and go to the right plane. For my first feature, I'm going to do the center boss that has 1.5 inches diameter. So I'm going to draw a circle on the origin, smart dimension it to 1.5 inches in diameter, and extrude that for 3 inches. Now, it's very important when we extrude this that we do so from midplane, not blind. We're going to set up for a mirror, and our mirror will only work if we have a plane in the middle of the part. Okay, there's my first feature. Now, to sketch the next feature, we're going to start a sketch on the right side of the part. So I'll go ahead and start a sketch on this surface. Now, for this one, I'm going to draw a larger circle, also from center. And this one, I'm going to smart dimension as a diameter. On the blueprint, this is listed as a radius of 1.25. But on the part, we're listing it as a diameter. So in order to convert a radius to a diameter, we have to double it. So that would be 1.25 times 2, or 2.5. Okay, now we've got that sketch. We can go ahead and go Features and Extrude. And this one will be a blind extrusion for 1 inch. Perfect. Now, I'm going to start my third sketch to sketch that Y shape on the right face again. Now, for this one, the left and right side are symmetrical, so I like to set it up for a mirror. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab a center line and draw a center line going straight down from the top to the bottom. And as long as this line is directly in the middle, it should come in fully defined. Now, I'm going to set this up to be a dynamic mirror. So I'm going to go to Tools, Sketch Tools, Dynamic Mirror, and then I select that line. What that'll do now is anything I draw on the left side of this part will instantly get mirrored over to the right side. Now I'm going to start from the bottom edge of the part, draw a vertical line, and I'm going to create roughly this Y shape and close it off at my origin. Now, I've got dimensions from this line to this line, and from this line to this line. When you have a linear dimension between lines, it means those lines must be parallel. So I'm going to start by adding a parallel relation between these two lines and these two lines. Make parallel. Now that those are parallel, I can go ahead and smart dimension them. So the distance from this line to this line is 0.75, and the distance from this line to this line is also 0.75. I'm specifically going from line to line because we're going to round all these corners off, and going from line to line will help prevent any sketch crashes. Finally, the width across the bottom of this sketch is also 750. Now, additionally, I have an angle dimension that goes from this line to my center line, and that dimension comes in at 45 degrees. You can see now my sketch is fully defined. However, I haven't closed the bottom of this sketch yet, and I need a closed profile in order to cut. So, in this case, I want to use the existing edge of the part to close this profile. To do that, I'm going to select the outer edge of the part and click Convert Entities. That will trace that edge of the part into my existing sketch. Now, I have to cut off the rest of that circle that I don't need. So in order to do that, I'm going to go to the Trim tool. Think of the Trim tool as a pair of scissors. As you click and drag, you can see it leaves that faint line. Anything that line passes through, it's going to cut. So if I drag through the right side, it cuts away all of that line up until the next thing it touches. So I drag through the right side and drag through the left side. I'm left with just this small section on the bottom and a closed sketch. Now, the final thing to do here is to add the fillets. On the blueprint, we've got a 7 times radius 250. That is the radius for all of these corners. To put that in, we're going to use the sketch fillet command. I'm going to set my parameter, which is my radius, to 250. And then in Entities to Fillet, I need to select what I want to round off. Now, I can do this in 2 ways. I can either click the point in between 2 lines, and that'll round it, like such. Or I can click 1 line and then a second line and round in between the 2 lines I select. Both work, but you may have to use either or depending on your geometry. Those previews all look good, so I'm going to hit OK. Perfect. This sketch is done, and I've closed the fillet command, so now we're going to extrude cut this. I go to Features, Extrude Cut, and I'm going to cut this blindly to a depth of 250. That is in the front view on my drawing. Perfect. That looks pretty good. Now, for the next step, I need to round off that edge and this edge. Those are rounded to a radius of 0.1. To do this, I'm going to go into the Features tab and select Fillet from the Features tab. You can see my default size is 0.1. If yours isn't, go ahead and change that to 0.1. I'm going to turn on full preview so that I can see what the fillets will look like. And then I go into Items to Fillet and select the edges that I want to round off, which would be that one and this one. Those look good, so I hit OK. Perfect. Now, I've drawn the right side of this part. I'm going to copy it over to the left side. So in the Features tab, I'm going to go to the Mirror command. The first thing it's going to ask is what I want to mirror about. Now, as long as you did your first sketch as a mid-plane extrusion, we should have a plane in the middle of the part. To see our default planes, I have to go up here to where it says Part 3 or whatever part number you're on, and go ahead and click that pull down. This will reveal my default planes. Now, my right plane is in the middle because that's the plane my first drawing's on. So I'm going to select that as my mirror plane. Then, in Features to Mirror, I'll select all the features I want to mirror from my feature tree. That would be Boss Extrude 2, Cut Extrude 1, and Fillet. Now when I hit OK, I've successfully copied the right side of my part over to the left. Now the last thing to do is to set the material. So I'm going to right-click on Material and Edit, and I'm going to set this to Gray Cast Iron. So I'll right-click, or left-click, sorry, and click Apply. Perfect. Now I'll go back to an isometric view. That's that 3D view. and I'll check my mass properties. So I'll go to Evaluate and Mass Properties. I've got a volume of 14.10, which matches my drawing, and I've got a mass of 3.67, which also matches my drawing. And with that, this part is done. We can go ahead and save it using our naming convention. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and move on to the lab.